Hi, in this course we'll be taking you through how to build your own custom website without writing a single byte of code. My name's Dan and this is WP Update. Hi and welcome. This is a snapshot of a free course that we have available which will take you through how to build your own WordPress-based website from scratch with zero experience and not a single byte of code written. This preview will take you through the first 2 lessons, and after that you'll need to head to the description below to sign up for the remaining 6 lessons in the series. The course is 100% free. You just need to sign up using the link down the bottom and away we'll go. So thanks for watching, and I'll let you get straight into the course preview. Hi and welcome. My name's Dan and I'm a software engineer and systems analyst with WP Update. I'll be your instructor for this course. I wanted to say a big congratulations to taking the first steps towards building your own website for your own small business. A lot of people will tinker, they'll dabble, and they'll talk about it, but never actually take the steps towards building a business or building their web presence for their micro business, their home business, or their small office. So congratulations. So let's get right into the action. For today's session, we'll be looking at picking a relevant domain name, and then we're in fact going to register the domain name, set up your website hosting, and get your email started. So diving in feet first. Next up, today's requirements. We're going to need a Visa or a MasterCard. These are to pay for the domain hosting and for the website and email hosting that we'll be purchasing off third-party vendors. This course is free, and you will not be paying for my time or for your time while we're doing this. So this is for the payment of third-party vendors for the website hosting itself and the domain registration. You'll need a Visa card or a MasterCard. The company we'll be using to host the website does not accept Amex, so it's got to be one of these two. It can be a Visa or a MasterCard debit. It doesn't necessarily have to be a credit card. As long as it's got the little hologram and the 16 digits, we're good to go. Monzo also works. And we'll also need an available balance of approximately $100 US. This is to cover the cost of the domain name and to cover 1 year's hosting with our hosting provider. So what's a domain name? It's really just a unique set of characters that identifies a website rather than having to route things through IPs and remember lots of numbers and coordinates. We can use a familiar name. You might be familiar with a few of them. We have google.com is a domain, wikipedia.org, bing.com, apple.com, and lovely facebook.com as well. So a domain name is comprised of a couple of different components, and they can be different based on where you are. So we do have regional domain names or top-level domains, and that would be things like .co.uk for the United Kingdom, .ca for Canada, .nz for New Zealand. And extensions can also indicate the type of entity that owns that domain. So a .com or a .co for privately held or traded companies, .org for not-for-profits, charities, and NGOs, and .net for network infrastructure providers. There's also some other less specific TLDs or top-level domains that can be industry-specific. So, for example, coffee or plumbing, or more generic ones for other sites that don't necessarily fit a specific category. So that could be things like online, .me, or .xyz, and that's not a joke. So let's take a look at the anatomy of a real domain. We'll use maps.google.co.uk for the example. You can see that's broken into 4 separate components, starting with the entity name or a reference. In this case, the company is Google. The next thing is the type of entity, which in this case is a company. So that's a .co. And a regional indicator, showing that we're looking at a UK-based entity or a UK-based service. Finally, not every time, but sometimes we also see a subdomain. So that's telling us that that is, in fact, the Maps app within Google. You'll also see mail.google.co.uk or .com or images.google.com as a subdomain, and that allows Google to quickly route your request to the right servers and to the right application. There are also special top-level domains, or TLDs, that are reserved for specific purposes. Things like .me, which is unofficially used for portfolio sites or single-person consultancies. .mobi, which is specifically for mobile versions of a website. Or .tel, which is expressly used by telephone services and DNS. It's a very technical one. We won't use it, but I included it just so you can see that they're there. So let's recap the TLD structure, or the top-level domain structure. We have different entity types. So companies have .co, .com, charities are .org, network infrastructure might be .net, a person might be .me. They have regions, so New Zealand, UK, EU, or if you're in the US or have global reach, there's no normal extension because the US, of course, established the internet. So that just uses .coms, .orgs, .net. And we also have other TLDs, which are quite popular. So we have things like .biz, .info, .us, blog, or a whole bunch of other ones which are available to us based on an industry rather than a entity type. Right, decision time. Now we need to work out what we're going to use as a domain. And the real main thing that we need to worry about is who the star of the show is. If it's you, if you're a consultant or an artist or are using your name to trade on, then you're the star of the show. Is it a business name or a brand? Google, for example, or Yahoo. Or is it a service or product offered? Do you offer lawn mowing or plumbing services or maintenance? The next thing we need to look at is the reach of your company. Are you a local service? What about regional? Do you cover a state or a county or a country? Do you cover an entire nation? Are you available across the entire country? Or is it a worldwide service? Finally, let's put it all together. So pick the star of the show, pick the reach, pick the entity type, and then pick the region. So let's take a look at a service-based company that's in the United States. And that might become Tribeca Electrical. Tribeca, the region, the service, which is electrical services, and it's in the US, so it just has a .com. Let's have a look at a business that provides national network infrastructure in New Zealand. And that might be megamobile.net.nz. So the name of the company, the type of network infrastructure it provides, and the region there. What about a single person who is running a consultancy? It might be janesmith.me. But what if that was a charity or an NGO? And what if that charity or NGO was based in the UK? The next thing to consider is when your domain isn't available, if someone's already snaffled that sweet, sweet name. So what we don't want to do is set up a new domain in the same area or competitive space. Trying to organize google.biz is a direct violation of google.com's trademark and will get you into all sorts of trouble. Don't use common misspellings. Using Google with 3 O's is not going to help anyone. Hyphens and underscores are a big no-no when you're looking at domain names. They just look awful and people don't think to put them in. Elongated names that go on for freaking ever. If you have a domain name that is 300 characters long, no one's going to type that in. Incorrect entity types. So having Tribeca Electrical, going back to our first example, shouldn't ever be a Tribeca Electrical.me. because that indicates that it's a single person who happens to be named Tribeca Electrical as opposed to Tribeca Electrical, the company. And a legal business name if it's not expressly relevant. Having something that is completely different to your trading name or what you'll be known as just because it's your legally registered name is utterly useless. What we do want to do is make sure that we have a similar domain name or a relevant domain name, but not necessarily that of a competitor's. We want correct spelling and syntax. We want to rearrange localities as an example. So going from, say, tribecaelectrical.com to electricianstribeca.com is a reasonable way to rearrange the domain so that it's still relevant. Logical substitutions quite work as well. So Tribeca Electrical going to tribecaelectrics.com may provide a reasonable way to still get your point across without going a bit silly on a different TLD. You could also go to a generic TLD. So going from, say, tribecaelectrical.com to .biz may be a reasonable substitution. It's not ideal, but it will still do the job. And finally, remove the regionality. So going from, say, megamobile.net.nz to megamobile.net. Again, not ideal, but can work in a pinch. So let's get started. We'll start by getting our domain and infrastructure organized. So I would like you to bring up a browser now and then head to bit.ly/website-hosting-setup. There is a link in the description below if you would like to click on that instead. And once you're there, you should see something that looks quite similar to this. And we're going for the startup plan. Okay, if it's taking a moment to come up, just pause, and once you're ready to go, we'll jump straight back in. All right, so let's bring up my browser, and I'm going to walk through this with you. My website. Go. And through to our preferred hosting provider, SiteGround. We've picked SiteGround for a number of reasons. One of the main ones is because they're easy to work with. They provide an email address for you, and they also provide SSL, which Google absolutely loves. It just makes everything that bit more secure. Okay, let's take a look. So we'll click the Get Plan, and that will take us through, and we're going to register a new domain. So this is a bit of a joke domain. Error 418 is some geek humor, because that is the HTTP error for I'm a little teapot, and I'm going to turn this into a little coffee website. So you can see here we have a number of different popular TLDs. We've got country specific, or we have generic ones based on industry. So I'm going to go with coffee. Hi, and sorry to interrupt. I just wanted to remind you you're presently watching an excerpt from the full course. You can access the complete course free of charge either by clicking on the link below or visiting wpupdo.com/SMB. That's Sierra Mike Bravo. Again, the course is completely free of charge. We'd love to see you along. I'll let you get back to me. Thanks. We make sure we have the domain registration checked. We also have the pricing there. I, of course, am in the UK, so that pricing is for pounds. It might be a bit different in the US. Click Proceed, and then head through to the Review and Complete. So just going to throw my email in there, password, throw in your Visa card or your MasterCard number. And expiration information. And then we want to select the startup plan, whichever data center is the closest to you. And then the 12 months is the best deal. That one will also mean that you've got a year to get your site spot on. So domain registration, I highly recommend the domain privacy as well. What that does is that prevents your name going on domain registrars, which will prevent a lot of spam. And consent, and then hit pay now. Okay, so the next thing it will do is ask you to verify your phone. So make sure your correct number is in there. I've picked text message, and we'll hit next. Just wait for that to come through, and there it is. And that's verified. We can now log in. So use the same email address that you used before to log in, hit next, enter your password, hit enter again, and that will drop us. And welcome to the hosting control panel. Now, if you're not all the way through here, just pause the video for a few moments, take your time with it, make sure you've got everything right. Don't forget to read the terms and conditions when you're going through and registering if you haven't clicked OK already. But it's okay if you're not all the way here yet, just pause, we'll wait. Right, so the next move is for us to set up the site. So we want to click this orange button here that says Set Up Site. We've already got the domain done. We've got the site set up. And we're not going to worry about adding extras. So just on the left here, Start New Website, and then Install New Application, and hit Select. And we're going to go with WordPress. And we're going to create a brand new WordPress login. So just use your email address, the same one you used to sign up with. And a password. Okay, make sure that's a strong password as well. Once you've done that, click Continue. We never want to remember that password. Skip the extra if it's trying to offer you more. We don't need the SG site scanner. We'll look at plugins to deal with that later. And then hit Finish. Once that's complete, you'll see the You Are All Set screen. And we want to go over to the right-hand side and click Manage Site. Again, feel free to pause at any point and go back if you fall a little bit behind or if I'm going a bit quick. This is now the control panel for our website. So we want to go over to the left-hand side first, and we're going to set up domains first, domain emails first. It's really important. The first one we're going to go to under email is accounts. And this is going to be your public-facing email account. So I like to use something generic like hello. And that will be the email account. So that will be hello@error418.coffee. If this is a .me or if it's a personal portfolio, I'd encourage you to use your first name. But if it's going to be a business, then something like hello, info, inquiries, contact might be a better option. Enter your password. Make sure it's a nice strong one, and then hit create. We don't want to save that, and that is created. So we're going to just copy that. So select, and then copy, and we'll keep that in memory for a little bit later. The next thing we need to do is go through our legal forwarders. So these are the email accounts that people expect to see on your server, even though we may not necessarily check them quite regularly. So what we're going to do, instead of just creating a whole bunch of email accounts that we have to manage, is we're going to create forwarders that go from the required email addresses to our email. So that is going to be, firstly, administrator. And we want to set the to email address to the email address we just created. So that's administrator at error14 in this case, .coffee, and that's going to the email address we just created in the previous step. So once you've got that in, hit create. That'll give a quick confirmation. We want to hit back. The next one we want to set up is abuse. And this is what people use if someone spams your site, or is someone gets into your email and starts sending out spammy or too much advertising. Create that. We get the confirmation again. Back. Hostmaster, which is used for people wanting to contact the email server administrator. Again, using the hello at or whatever email address you set. So once that's in, hit create. Back. Hostmaster, which is an email address that people use to contact the domain hosting service. If anyone ever actually contacts you on this, not that I've had anyone do it, but if anyone does, you can take the emails and then just forward them on to SiteGround support, and they will happily take care of any inquiries for you. So that's Hostmaster. And then finally, Webmaster. And that is used for the person who administers the website. So that'll be for us. And then finally, create again. So at the end of this, we should have administrator, abuse, hostmaster, hostmaster, and webmaster, all pointing to the email address we created when we were in the account system here. And that just about brings us to the end of the action. So what did we get up to today? Well, we learned about domain names, what constitutes a good one, and how to pick a decent one. We then registered our first domain name, set up an email address, and set up the website hosting. And we set up our email forwarders so we can cover all of our legal bases with the email addresses that we need, while still only monitoring a single email address. And because you've taken the time to do this, because you've taken the time to learn, you've saved yourself quite a bit of extra cash. Some web agencies will charge anywhere from a few $100s right through to several $1,000s for this kind of work if you're looking for a specialist server in your region. So by taking the extra time, you've learnt about hosting, you've learnt about what makes a good domain name, and you've taken control of your own website. Hi, and sorry to interrupt. I just wanted to remind you, you're presently watching an excerpt from the full course. You can access the complete course free of charge either by clicking on the link below or visiting wpupdo.com/SMB. That's Sierra Mike Bravo. Again, the course is completely free of charge. We'd love to see you along. I'll let you get back to me. Thanks. So thank you very much for watching, and thank you for sticking this out to the end. I'm really, really happy you're here. In the next session, we're going to be setting up the website basics and installing the plugin stack, which is what gives WordPress its extra functionality and keeps you safe. Thank you very much for your time, and we'll see you in the next lesson.